Hello everyone and welcome back to my podcast. As you can see, there's a whole lot of less kerfuffle going on. No more wires, no more stress, no more mic check. I have these new little floofs and I'm really hoping this is going to be the remedy of less stress for me and a more simpler editing process and better quality and audio for you. In today's episode, this is going to be a long one because I have a lot to say about this topic in specific. This is all about body confidence. Following up from last week's episode, all about sort of inner confidence and coming into your own. Today, we are talking about weight. We are talking about binge eating. We are talking about insecurities. And we are talking about overall healthier outlooks on a healthier lifestyle and relationship with yourself and your body. And these are just my takeaways. There may be some things that could be a little triggering to some, especially if you're going through some issues with your eating, but I really hope this doesn't trigger anyone. I hope you can listen and take some perspectives and gain some insights to things because I would hate to trigger anyone, but I do think it's an important topic and it's definitely something that I have battled with my whole life and still am battling with because we all have that thing. And this, when it comes to my weight, this is my trigger and my thing. Starting with triggers, we'll talk about my most triggering word ever, which is chubby. When you're little, that's really when your identity somewhat gets shaped, okay? This narrative starts to be created for you and you start to be put in boxes, start to have labels. And that's where your character, starts to grow until you get a little older and you start identifying yourself more and you start, being like, actually, I don't want to identify with that. Actually, I'm not this. Actually, I can create my own narrative and I can be my own person. But my little trigger was the chubby card because I got fat shamed a lot when I was younger. I was quote unquote chubby. I was actually quote unquote so cute and so chubby. Everyone squeezing my cheeks the whole time. And, that started as cute and chubby. As the years went by, that started growing more into, the passive fat shaming. So the sitting at the dinner table and overhearing, maybe she shouldn't eat that. Do you really think she should be eating so much? Don't you think she should lose a bit of weight? Oh, she's just big boned. A lot of passive whispers, and I remember, I'd go look at myself in the mirror and I would cry because I just always felt not good enough. Really, that's how I felt. And also, shout out to my bro, but he was also so fit and handsome and winning all the trophies. So I always had this feeling of just being the runt, basically, because I was the short and unchubby one, But, that wasn't the case, obviously, and people don't mean to make you feel this way, but it does highlight how important words are and how words have so much meaning that you can say something off the cuff and on the dime and it mean nothing to you, but the person who's receiving it can get so triggered and traumatized low-key by what you're saying that really, truly, watch your words, watch what comes out of your mouth and watch what you say to other people and watch what you say to yourself because those things shape the people around you. Just don't know what could really trigger a person. And I think it's just one of those things of if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And if you're worried about a friend or you want to give some kind of constructive criticism, a lot of the times it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I think it's really important to always keep that in mind, especially when speaking to younger people, because I know a lot of 16, 15-year-old girls, especially, and when I'm around them, they'll say, oh, I've gained weight, oh, my thighs are fat, oh, I feel bloated, and I just want to shake them, and hold them and kiss them, because it's so not important. It hurts my heart to see this. It really, really does, because I remember when I was 15 and 16, me and my friends, we were like, we're not going to eat carbs today. Let's not eat carbs at lunchtime. This week, we're going to go on a diet. You're 15. Why are you doing that? Like, why are you doing that? Like, we would squat in our break time. I think it's so important to be healthy. I think it's so important to try your best to take care of yourself. I admire people who are so disciplined, especially when it comes to the gym, and really treat their body like a temple. I admire that level of discipline. Health is one thing, and I will never tell a person to not be healthy. I think that's super, super important. But when it comes to the aesthetics of things, there is so much pressure on that, and it's such a waste of time, because even me now, I am at the happiest weight. I am the most confident with my body that I've ever been in my life. But even still at that, the chubby girl lives on within me. I can feel her. I can hear her. You know, I still have moments where I look in the mirror and I break down. And that's all because it's just been such a trigger in my life. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit to when I gained a lot of weight. You know, this whole battle of fighting the chubby girl, that went into just grave insecurity, and that insecurity turned into me punishing myself. So when I was at a very low, unfulfilled place in life, I had a very big problem with binge eating. I, you know, would binge eat to the point of me feeling so full that I would have to be sick. And it was a dirty little cycle, basically, that kept going on. And the truth of the matter was because I didn't have any love for myself, because I was unfulfilled in the relationship that I was in, hated my job at the time, so I felt really unfulfilled in that. I really do believe, you know, like a lot of the times we do have so much love to give to other people around us, but it will never last that long if the love inside isn't there. You really, really can't pour from an empty cup. So no wonder everything in my life was feeling so unfulfilled, because within I was so unfulfilled. But during that, the only way to make myself feel full was to physically fill myself up. It was so emotionally tied and emotionally triggered. And your mind-body connection is crazy. So when your mind and your body aren't connected, everything is out of line. Everything is out of whack. And during those periods, during that like 6 months where I had gained so much weight, I had zero mind-body connection. I couldn't tell if I was hungry. I was having the craziest cravings. I was just eating even if I wasn't hungry. I couldn't tell when I was full. I had such a battle between food voice and food noise. And food voice is the impulsive cravings. You see a KFC advert and you're like, ooh, I really want KFC right now. You order a whole bunch of KFC, but your body's like, I didn't want that and I didn't actually need that. But because your mind and your body aren't connected, you can't feel intuitive. Intuition is the key to eating for your natural rhythm and flow. That's exactly what food voice is. Food voice is listening to your body, listening to your stomach. If you're feeling like a bowl of pasta and your body really wants it, go eat the bowl of pasta. Now, I never believe in you can't eat this, you can't eat that. Eat whatever you want in moderation and in balance. You know, as long as it's intuitive, as long as you really are feeling like it and it's not impulsive and it's not food noise, food noise, food noise. Because I struggled so much with differentiating the two. When I started listening clearer and I started doing more things to connect my mind and body, i.e. walking, i.e. journaling, you know, focusing on the small little things each day that make me feel better. I also removed myself from a relationship. I also had a completely different outlook on my work at that time. I was working, obviously a lot of you guys know, I was working for Iman for a long time, 4 years. But there was a pivotal moment where I started realizing, I always had it in my head of like, you have to, sorry, Reva's coughing. I always had it in my head of like, you have to be doing what you love. And if you're not doing what you love, you're failing. So obviously for Iman, I was an assistant and I hated being an assistant. As much as I love Iman, as much as I love the team, as much as I loved, you know, moments in the job, assistant work, I hated it. And at that point in time, I was just like, what the hell am I doing with my life? How am I an assistant? I would never want to do this. But then I realized a very, very key thing. Even the most successful people in life have to do what they hate doing. Like, it's as simple as that. Even the most successful people in life do what they hate doing half the time. But as long as what you're doing allows you to invest in what you love, you are winning. And so for me, I hated my job, but my job was remote. My job allowed me to create my own schedule. My job gave me a lot of time to do things on the side that I loved doing until I could get to a point where I am now, where this is my everything and this is what I get to do. And granted, there are parts of even this I don't like very much, but it's always a matter of making sure that whatever you're doing, whatever you're making your money from, allows you to invest in what you love around your work. And that was a huge takeaway. So when all these other things started to make more sense to me and I started being more mindful of my thoughts, my intuition, the natural rhythm, the natural flow, and I got myself out of a relationship that I was not happy in, then things started to fall into place. I started to lose the weight and I started to look at myself very, very differently. I also had an incredible life coach during that time of my life. And he very much so helped me when it came to my binge eating. Because binge eating is one of those things where it comes with a lot of guilt and shame. Just like any kind of addiction is tied to shame and guilt. And those two emotions right there, shame and guilt, you're better off feeling so much anger than you are feeling guilt and shame, because these two emotions are passive byproducts of anger, okay? And that passive byproduct, that ruminates in your body and that gives you back pain, gives you kidney problems. I'm a big believer in your emotions are completely tied to your body. So when you're doing certain things that aren't good for you, unfortunately, the byproducts of that are passive emotions that eat you up alive, okay? So when I was speaking with this life coach, he really helped me to understand that. He told me some home truths about himself and some of the addictions he had been facing in his life that were tied to his childhood trauma, which was, unfortunately, he got abused as a child. So in his manhood, he had some issues and addictions he was doing because it was tied to his childhood trauma. And the moral of the story here is we all have dirty little secrets. We all have things we do behind closed doors that do not make any sense to us, that we would never want anyone to find out. But that's what makes us more human than the next person, because our brain is so complex. Some things just don't make sense and some things aren't meant to make sense. And some things are just there to teach you resilience and faith and patience and discipline. And that's really what it was. So I have this extreme attachment towards food. Of course, because when I was little, I was so fat shamed that now in my womanhood, I still have this weird attachment towards food because in some ways it will give me extreme levels of comfort, but in other ways it's going to give me extreme levels of discomfort. And that's exactly what happened when I was at my peak of binge eating, because I would eat to make myself feel full and comfortable until I was so full that I have to puke it out, and then I'd feel guilty and shameful about this cycle of punishment I kept putting myself in. But it's really because I felt so not in control of anything in my life, and I felt so unfulfilled that the only thing I could control was this weird punishment towards myself. None of it really makes sense, and it's not supposed to, because that's my little vice and trigger. And I'm never going to say I'm never going to binge eat again. I'm never going to say that, because I know there will come a day where I binge eat, I puke, I feel a bit of guilt, but I'll pick myself up and keep it moving, because that's my vice. That's my thing. And I have made friends with the fact that I have this a bit of a weird attachment towards food. Sometimes I'm totally fine. Sometimes I sit at the dinner table with my friends and I think everyone's staring at what I'm eating and they think I'm a ogre, basically. It's a very weird trauma and attachment, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you do X, Y, Z and everything will be fine, because I don't think that's the case with anyone and their triggers and their traumas. It's really a matter of making friends with the fact that we all have a little fucked up side to us, and we all have our vices, we all have our triggers, and you have to make friends with it, because the more you push it down, the more it's going to creep up and bite you in the ass, big time. It's like you really have to accept that we all have the angel and the devil within us. We all have the good, positive, happy thoughts, and then we all have the evil, demonic, dirty thoughts. We have the dirty side, and we have the clean side. And that's like every single human being in life. And that is not something to battle in between. It's something to be really aware of, and it's something to make a conscious decision to try to do the right things every day by you and by the people around you. It's so much better when you own your insecurities and you don't hide away from them, because me telling you about this, I don't think 5 years I would have ever thought I would have a podcast and I'd put this out for the world to see. Not that I think the world's ever going to see it. Tiny little portion will. But even for whoever's watching, I never thought that would happen. I never thought this would come out my mouth, but I know for a fact me opening up will help some of you who are not willing to address it within yourselves. Whatever it may be, anything that you're a little ashamed of, make peace with it. Because I think also a big thing that I've learned is you aren't your insecurities and you aren't your trauma, okay? I've been there and I've done that, where I've identified so much with my traumas that they almost became my identity. I'd always excuse my behavior because of my traumas and triggers, or not your wounds. And in order to heal a wound, you have to stop touching it. So sometimes you just have to let it be, make peace with it, make friends with it, make peace and friends with the discomfort of those parts of you, and then walk along and keep it going. And you don't have to identify with your insecurities. They're a part of you, but they're not your identity. And I think that was also a big thing that I had to learn with kind of getting through that time in my life and kind of breaking into this new version of me. Really hope a bit of that made sense, because I definitely waffled as hell, but this is my weekly waffle session, so of course it was going to happen. So next thing I'm going to talk about is my boobs. And this is really, really, really personal. And I'm laughing because I feel very uncomfortable about even speaking about this, because really and truly only the closest people in my life know this about me. I was so insecure about my boobs. Like, I was insecure about my skin, but it was never on the level of my boobs. I hated my boobs. I hated the way they sat. I hated my nipples. I hated everything about them. And of course, with the crazy yo-yoing that I was doing from, let's say, the age 14 upwards, the more weight I was gaining and dropping and gaining and dropping, my boobs just sat so bad, like so bad. I would be wearing a bikini and I'd tie the strings so tight just so they could sit up. Like, I just hated my boobs, hated everything about them. And of course, when it came to sexual intimacy, this was a huge obstacle for me to deal with. And I was so embarrassed a lot of the times, you know, even being about to have sex with a guy but not being able to take my bra off. Like, that was mortifying to me. I still feel that feeling of cringing, of it was just so uncomfortable. And like, keep in mind, my first ever proper boyfriend, I was with him for basically 5 years. Not once did he see my boobs in daylight. That is crazy. That's how obscenely insecure I was. I basically kept my bra on the whole entire relationship. Like, that's how insecure I was about my boobs, and no one understood it. My best friends didn't understand it. My mom didn't understand it. But the thing is the only person in my life that I have ever shown my boobs to in broad daylight, at the time obviously, was my surgeon. Because last year I got a breast lift. I got a breast lift and some reconstruction, and I will never forget that day. I went to the hospital by myself in this little private waiting room before they took me in to get anesthesia. I remember sitting there and like, I looked at my boobs in the mirror for the last time, and I had this overwhelming feeling of like, I don't have a boyfriend. I'm not doing this for any guy. I'm not doing this for anyone. I'm here alone, and I'm doing this for myself, and this is going to be the most life-changing moment. I just knew it. I also had a bit of fear that maybe, what if after I get my boobs done, I'm still not going to be able to be secure with them? Because it was years and years and years of covering up, years and years and years of not sitting with my back straight because I never wanted to draw attention to my boobs, years and years and years of bras every single day. Like, I remember I had fear and I had overwhelming excitement. And they took me into the anesthesia room and they were blasting Elton John. It was like out of a movie. I remember like I was lying down and I was looking up and there was all these people around me and Elton John Rocket Man was playing. And the next thing is he puts the anesthesia in me and I'd never had anesthesia before, so I was scared. And I remember being like, ow, ow, it hurts. And then I just passed out, completely passed out. And the next thing I know, I wake up and I'm all settled and I'm in bed and I wake up and the anesthesia is wearing off and I eat some food. The nurse comes in the room and she takes off my support bra because obviously I had bandages and there was like a little bit of blood and stuff, but she wanted to show me how my boobs look so I can keep an eye on them, you know, make sure there's not any weird bleeding or anything like that. And I'll never forget it. I might actually even cry just talking about it because it was such a overwhelmingly like happy moment for me. It's so ridiculous. Like I'm cringing at myself at the fact that it's even making me emotional. But this is the truth when you have deep rooted insecurities. I remember she took my support bra off. I looked down at my boobs and I started crying my eyes out. And I was like, oh my God, I have never seen my boobs perky before. Like I couldn't stop crying. And she even gave me a hug because I was so over the moon. Like I was so unbelievably, I felt complete. I don't know how to explain it. I felt complete. Like when I had my boobs done, every other insecurity never hit the same. Like I've never really liked my arms. I sometimes think my thighs are a bit too jiggly, but I couldn't care less because I love my boobs. Like it was such a weird moment and it was so pivotal in my confidence. I will never shame anyone. And I don't think anyone should ever shame anyone for wanting to fix their insecurities. If you have a deep-rooted insecurity and it's something that you have battled with, it's not a phase. This was never a phase. This was something going on since I was 14. And when I had the blessing of being able to do it, I jumped. And that right there changed my confidence so much. I think also going through that, I really reminisced on having a boyfriend at the time that made me feel nothing but beautiful, even though I couldn't show him my boobs. He made me feel like the most beautiful girl in the world, and so did every single person in my life. All my best friends, even though there would be times where I would cry and I wouldn't be able to show them because I was so embarrassed. Like I was so unhappy that I couldn't even show Moza. I couldn't even show my bestest friend, my sister, my boobs because I was so shy. But having people around you that bring out the best in you, that support you and fill you up with love, thank God for them. Thank God for them because even though I hated my boobs and I have struggled with my body, I've never not felt beautiful. And I really do believe when you have people in your life that lift you up, you can be on top of the world. And I'm so thankful that I do. Every person in my circle is one of a kind. And I thank God every day. I don't know what I've done to deserve that, honestly. I've also had a lot of frogs on the way that I've had to stay behind. But you need to check your circle always. And if people aren't making you feel good, if people are bringing out the insecurities in you, if people are weighing you down, drop them. It's as simple as that. Drop them with love. Drop them with love. Never drop. You know, that's not part of my personality, but drop them with love. Leave them behind with love and move forward with only people that lift you up and make you feel beautiful no matter what. And I think that's really important when you are facing deep insecurities and struggling with your appearance and your feelings towards yourself. That is really, really important. And I just wanted to be vulnerable with you guys because also, again, it's one of those things that when people would see me in a bikini, they'd be like, girl, you look great. What are you even talking about? You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I could come across, and I do come across as an extremely confident person. That's how I choose to portray and carry myself. But deep down, I have sides to me that is the chubby girl, the girl with the saggy boobs that couldn't take her bra off, and so many other things, you know? So don't judge books by its cover, and don't compare yourself to another person's beauty, ever. are unique and you are beautiful in your own way. And I'm telling you, when you start to accept more things about yourself and you start to own your flaws, own your insecurities, own the parts of yourself that you may not be so proud about, you actually fall in love with everything you hated. You fall in love with everything you hated. And I would never push any of my insecurities to the side now. If anything, I just own them and work with them because they're a part of me. I'm friends with them, you know? I think that's really, really important when it comes to weight and it comes to self-image and self-love. We put too much emphasis on the wrong things and we don't figure out the inside. And the inside is where all the work needs to happen. Because if you're struggling inside, I'm telling you, everything in your life will not flow. You mirror everything. So make sure you're always at your highest self, even if you're feeling like shit. Give yourself a bit of extra love that day then. You know, have your own back and be your most loyal best friend. Always, always, always. To all the younger girls out there that are coming into their body, own what you have and be confident in what you have, because no body looks the same as the next. Don't ever compare or wish. Just focus on making your body the healthiest and most comfortable and most confident place that it can be through the ups and downs. And that's really what I have to say on this topic, because yeah, it's a very long-winded topic and I could honestly speak for hours and hours and hours on it. But insecurities, weight, body, all this kind of stuff is a part of growing up and being secure. And there's a lot to learn and love about yourself on the way. So I hope that has helped. Please send me through if you guys have any questions. I'm definitely going to do like a little Q&A segment one day as well, and some other funny story times, because I definitely do have those for you. So yeah, I really hope that has helped you guys. I'll see you and you will hear me in the next episode. Mwah, 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 mwah.